Hi there, it's Sandy, and today we're going for a hike to go do some nature journaling. So get on your hiking boots. Let's go.
Right when I headed out, I met up with a band, a cast, a party, or a scold of Stellar's jays. I think it was scolding. They sounded very much like they were scolding. And there were at least 8 of them that I counted. They were flying around in the trees, all over the place. I think they were yelling at me. Does anybody translate Stellar's jays calls? Because I would like to know what they were trying to say to me. Yeah, they were a little bit excitable. This little guy was trying to catch a moth. And this is not one of those nature videos where you're going to have to watch something die, because the moth does outsmart the bird just by maybe me being there and distracting the bird because he kept looking at me. And eventually he decided to just let the moth flop around, and the moth did fly away. So all is well in Natureland. So we're at Powell's Wood Gardens in my town, and it's a lovely place with a garden that's kind of a curated garden in the front, and then out in the back section it's just forest. It goes down to a creek. There's cold springs out there, all different kinds of stuff. And I happen to know, because I've been out here enough, where to find the lichen. This is one type of lichen, and in general in my brain I think of lichen as stuff that looks like you don't want to touch it, although it's not pokey, but it's hard on the surface. Most of them are. Whereas moss, if you see moss, it's going to make you want to pet it. It's going to generally be soft, at least most of the mosses I know of. So if you're looking for what the difference is between them, that's one way to find out. Now, moss is said to grow on the shady sides of trees, but in the northern hemisphere it does grow on the north side, and in the southern hemisphere on the south side, and that's because it's the shady side. But if you're in a place like this, it's shady everywhere. So this fallen tree just has moss all over it. And the shadiness of the trees in this area are a lot because we have trees that have large leaves in them. And there's a couple of them that have extra large leaves, but it really depends on what kind of trees you have. If they're really open forests, you may not have as much moss. This is the leaf of a big leaf maple, and just for comparison, you can see how sized it is compared to my shoe. So yes, those are very large. And up here in the trees, we have a Bewick's wren, and that's a maple tree up there, glowing in the sunshine. Gotta love that I'm starting to know my bird calls now after a year of studying my phenology wheels and everything. This is something that's very typical. You'll just see all different kinds of mosses all over everything. It's just all over the place. This one is cat's tail moss, and I think there's some others in there, some bearded mosses. They tend to just kind of go together. They just kind of mush together. These are lichen. So you can kind of see the difference. These tend to be a little more on the crunchy side, even though they're not necessarily all hard. They look a little more crunchy than a moss would, although there are some lichen that look a bit like moss because they're stringy and they look kind of hairy. But just finding all the different places where lichen show up, you'll find moss in the same kinds of places because they're all looking for something they can grab onto, and bark of trees is one of the really common ones. So keep your eyes peeled for it. That was a northern flicker, by the way. And here we have some lichen that is hidden underneath of some feather mosses. So a lot of times they just intertwine with each other because one finds a good tree to hang on to and the other one does the same. Lichen are a sign that your air is good and clean because they thrive when the atmosphere is good for them. So you'll find them on sticks, on twigs. So keep your eyes looking down all the time at any kind of sticks that are on the ground, and also sideways looking at tree trunks, because you'll find them on those sort of things. It's a chestnut-backed chickadee out there somewhere. I did try to find these birds as I heard them, but I didn't catch anything but those stinking Steller's jays. Little fuss budgets. And that's a Pacific wren. Little chirp, and some more of the mosses. And a licorice fern. Last month I did ferns, so I'm pretty good at identifying licorice fern. This one, these are baby licorice fern, little tiny ones that get really curly. So getting pretty good at identifying all kinds of things after a year of doing phenology studies every month. And here we have some bearded lichen. And there are all kinds of bearded lichens. Like everyone has a different kind of a name in front of it, etc. There's song sparrows out here too. Lots of different birds. I did hear some things that sounded like frogs, but I never did find any frogs. There's a bug flying in front of my camera. And that was a downy woodpecker out there somewhere. Oh, just love looking up into the trees at the sunshine. So great to get out on a beautiful day. So here's where I found my spot that I was going to paint. And there was this little seat that I could sit on this tree trunk. And there was some lichen here. And in my phenology wheel, I wanted something special in the center. So I had saved it for last. Sometimes I painted early. But all of my other ones had gotten filled in. And I really zoomed in on the shapes on most of them. I made them much, 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 much bigger than they are in reality. So I could really have fun with the shapes. And did these in both pen and ink and watercolor. But I wanted something in the center that would remind me of the kinds of places to look. So I was looking for, as you saw throughout our little walk, I was looking for a place where I could find a piece of bark, a piece of tree, a chunk of something, so I could indicate for myself where these things are. So in the future, when I long have forgotten everything that I learned, that this will serve as a memory for me of where it is that I can find lichen if I want to go see some. And it would be finding it in crevices of trees, things that have been sitting on the ground, and anything that's decaying has a surface that the moss and the lichen can get their little roots into. They can grab onto. So I started with pen and ink this time. Often I start with the watercolor, but for this particular one, I was balanced precariously on the piece of wood, that piece of the tree that I showed you I was sitting on. And I also had my camera balanced, and I didn't have any equipment left to balance my my phenology wheel. So I ended up holding it in the air in front of the camera, so the camera's even shading it. Yes, it was quite awkward. But I love coming out to Palswood because even if I'm doing like some sort of weird setup for filming out here, which I don't do very often because it is difficult, when I work out here, there tends to be no one out here when the kids are in school, because not many people come out here. It's not a very busy place. And even though there's a lot of airplanes that go overhead, and I carefully edited out all the flying airplanes, so you didn't have to listen to that, I didn't get disturbed by other hikers or anything. This was on a weekday before lunchtime. So I painted that center piece of wood, that sort of smooth wood, and then the stuff on the side is of a very different color. So I wanted to indicate that, and some discoloration that it had in it too. And then I'll just keep adding more to it. Some blue-green into the lichen itself. And it came out a little too blue, so I did end up adding a little bit of green as well. And some thicker paint and a stiffer brush to put in some shadows. shadows in the crevices of the wood, as well as some shadows underneath the lichen. So it looks like it's lifting up from the surface, like it actually is in real life. So a lot of phenology studies is for your own reference. It's not about like trying to be super accurate. It's, painting practice, of course, drawing practice. And I don't usually do this out of doors because, as you can see, a phenology wheel is not a small thing. I usually take a little sketchbook. But this time it just seemed like I wanted to go out and do it, so I did. And I did put a shadow around the outside edges of this for making it look like there's a hole in the middle of my wheel looking into that picture. So it's kind of nice getting out here and doing some sketching. Decided to add a little extra pen and ink detail in here as well. Had to wait for it to dry. It was not very hot outside, so it didn't dry very quickly, but got to just sit and listen to birds for a bit while I waited. And some extra shadows to create some darkness, a little bit more texture in the wood. And this is about done. Next year, I'm going to be doing a year-long nature journaling class. And you can do a phenology wheel in that. You can do any kind of nature journal. In the class, I'll be showing you a lot of different kind of nature journaling. We'll have some challenges that we'll do together. And I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to format it all and what it will end up costing. But stay tuned to my channel for details. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of that. You can also subscribe to the email list at art-classes.com. And I will definitely send out information on that when the time comes. It'll be available for pre-order in December sometime. So look forward to that. And there'll just be a monthly lesson with challenges in it. Maybe it'll be weekly challenges if I can come up with enough. But it will have video lessons at the start of each. And we'll just talk about all different kinds of nature journaling. So I wanted to save a couple last treats for you that I found on this walk. One is artist's bracket fungus. Apparently you can draw with this stuff. I did not pick any up to try it with, but I found that out on the internet, so maybe I'll try that sometime. The last little bit of foxglove. It's the only foxglove I saw still in bloom. And last but not least, the pièce de la résistance, a fire crown hummingbird nest. Looked around for the hummingbirds, did not see any, but I did see the nest. So nice little treats along the way. Speaking of treats, tomorrow is October 1st, which means it's the beginning of Inktober, and I have a bonus video. Yes, 3 videos in 1 week. Oh my gosh. Been working hard for you. I'm going to be talking about pens and paper in specific because there's a paper that I want to make you aware of that is fantastic. It's also not hugely expensive, and that makes it double bonus in my world. So subscribe. Make sure you tell YouTube with the little bell button that you want to be notified of all my videos, not just some. So if you're interested in the nature journaling class, then let me know in comments down below. I'd like to know your experience level, your fear level, your desire. What do you want to be able to sketch in your environment? What medium? I'd like just everything. All your questions, put them in the comments section. If you want to know more about my vision for the class, then go to my Substack, which is called Sandy's Art Stack. Links in the doobly-doo. I've written up kind of some general notes about what I'm thinking for that class. It's not final, but it's just kind of a general outline of where I'm headed with it. So leave me comments. Let me know what you think of my phenology wheel, about the nature journaling class. Whatever. I will see you tomorrow for my Inktober special, and we'll get started with some pen and ink because obviously I like pen and ink. It's in my opener and my closer. So I will see you then. Take care. Bye.